We begin today's episode of your favorite nautical authoritative on a very sad and painful note for all of us, not just here in NIMASA, but the entire maritime industry. The loss of a colossus, the loss of a leading light, an exemplary stakeholder who believed so much in the future of Nigeria's maritime industry. To put it in the words of the Honorable Minister for Transportation, Engineer Muazu Jaji Sambo, she was the jewel of the Nigerian maritime industry. No less a person than Barrister Margaret Nkem Onyema Orakusi. Barrister Margaret Orakusi meant so many things to so many groups within Nigeria's maritime industry. The Director General of NIMASA, Dr. Bashir Jamo, described her as a leader and an industry stakeholder extraordinaire who truly staked her all for the good of the nation's maritime industry. She was humble and easy to talk to. She was brilliant and ever bubbling with insightful counsel, always on the front line and willing to contribute. Margaret Orakusi's every move and utterance was well-intentioned, barely asking, but always giving, single-handedly taking on the impossible. Barrister Margaret Orakusi was loved by all. Oh, what a loss. And as we condole with her family, we choose to cherish all of the excellence that she embodied. May her memory be a blessing that inspires us all. NIMASA This Week, we'll be right back.
My name is Chief Dr. George Moralo.
Senator Binta Masi Garba.
Is Rollins McFoy, the President of Women in Maritime Nigeria.
You are watching NIMASA This Week.
You are watching NIMASA This Week.
NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime.
The voice of maritime.
The voice of the maritime industry.
The voice of the maritime.
NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime, showing on these stations.
Welcome back. It's still NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime. And as always, we begin with the DG's diary. What has Dr. Bashir Jamo been up to? You get to find out. We'll also bring you the second installment on our Know Your Convention segment, where we talk about the STCW. Well, I won't tell you what it means. You'll have to stick around in order to find out, as well as our other regulars. So if you're ready, it's anchors away.
As Ghana prepares to implement its cabotage regulations, the Ghana Maritime Authority visited the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, with a view of understudying Nigeria's Cabotage Act. The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Dr. Bashir Jamo, praised the visiting Ghana Maritime Authority delegates while recalling how the organization's former Director General, Kwame Owusu, came up with the concept to implement its own Cabotage Act while attending a strategic conference at NIMASA years earlier.
I don't want to address the Ghanaian delegates as part of my protocol because they are part and parcel of us. They may not be aware. Mr. Kwame Owusu conceptualized the issue of the Cabotage Act in Ghana in this agency. Mr. Kwame Owusu used to attend our management meeting here in this agency, and I traveled with him severally, worldwide, IMO, Italy, Turin, to see how he can restructure the Ghana Maritime Authority. From time to time, the levies introduced in the Ghana Maritime Authority, myself, himself, and one Mr. Tony Ogadi, who is now retired, we put our head together to see how we can build that tariff. I remember when the Ghanaian stakeholders picked up on him, and he called me one day. He said, these people, they are after me, and they reported me to the vice president. What do I do? We sat down, we strategized how he can go and defend himself. So I want to tell you, Nigeria and Ghana were one and remain united.
Dr. Jamo noted that the opportunity to collaborate and partner with Ghana Maritime Authority would lead to growth and development in the maritime sector for Nigeria and Ghana, even as it strengthens partnership within the Gulf of Guinea coast.
Your visit is a reminder that the maritime is a shared domain, and as such, we must compare notes from time to time and learn from each other to achieve a more robust shipping industry in the region. A case in point is the recent modeling of the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act, popularly known as SPOMO Act, pioneered by Nigeria, and I believe Ghana, they have already enacted their own, or you are in the batch of doing so. It was most encouraging to see some African countries adopt and enact their own version of the law. What is left now is the harmonization of the law, just like what the Abuja MOU mentioned. Furthermore, your visit to understudy our own cabotage law cannot come at a better time at the President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, recently convened an extraordinary session of heads of state and government of the Gulf of Guinea Commission in Accra, where President Muhammadu Buhari gave a keynote address on strategies for strengthening peace and security in the fight against maritime-related crime in the region. This simply shows how important the two nations take maritime as a catalyst to the development of our own economies. This happened just last week. Also, there is need for us to continue to engage occasionally so that we can share ideas on how we can collectively assist our countries, maritime administrations, in achieving their core mandates, thereby ensuring global best practices in the affairs of the Gulf of Guinea and the maritime sector.
Dr. Jamo added that there has been an increase in the number of local partnerships in the nation's maritime domain since the advent of the Cabotage Act. Speaking on the crucial aspect of the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund, CVFF, Dr. Jamo noted that NIMASA has reached 85% to commence the disbursement of the loans.
As of today, we have reached over 85% to commence the disbursement of the loans, which is the main aim of the Cabotage Act, to ensure that we build our own fleet. This is a special fund that is basically obtained through the collection of a 2% surcharge from the total contract sum performed by any vessel engaged in the cabotage trade. This fund should be utilized to offer financial assistance, create access to funding by financial institutions with the aim of increasing indigenous ship acquisition capacity for qualified Nigerians. The understudy and the consequent reflection of this element of our cabotage regime should help our country fund indigenous ship and other maritime asset acquisitions. In conclusions, laws can be made, but the most important thing is for the law to be effective and enforcement. So, you will be introduced to how we enforce the compliance in relation to our cabotage activities. This will guide you when you get back home towards growing indigenous capacity in our maritime space and yours, and indeed the African maritime region. It's very difficult to discuss about Africa without Nigeria and Ghana.
Earlier in his speech, the Executive Director, Maritime Labour and Cabotage Services, NIMASA, Engineer Victor Oche, elaborated on how consistent the agency kept pushing, adding that Nigeria's cabotage achievements did not come without pitfalls and struggles that were surmounted through consistency.
In the course of this understudy, we chronologically intend to take you on a historical journey or overview and enlighten you on our famous 4 pillars of cabotage. We shall also put you through the enabling legislations and instruments that empower us to operate, as well as our enforcement procedures, amongst others. In the course of the evolution of our cabotage regime, we were not oblivious of the fact that we could not immediately meet up with the total capacity that would serve our country's maritime needs. So we made the regime flexible by coming up with waiver regulations that will serve as buffer for the intended shocks that may arise from the stringent protectionist policy.
The Director, Legal and Board Secretary of Ghana Maritime Authority, Mrs. Patience Diaba, expressed satisfaction and gratitude over the warm reception and the opportunity to learn from the Nigerian experience in the implementation of the Cabotage Act.
We are sincerely appreciative of these gestures. We are excited for the opportunity to learn from your expertise in maritime affairs. And we assure you that we will make the most of our time here. As you know, the Cabotage Act is an essential regulation for the Nigerian maritime industry. And we are keen to understand how this regulation has been implemented successfully. We understand that NIMASA has been at the forefront of driving the cabotage regime, and we are excited to learn from this institution.
The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Dr. Bashir Jamo, has stated that interagency collaboration is critical to sustaining the efforts to curb criminal activities in the Nigerian waters and the Gulf of Guinea. Jamo made this known when he received the chairman of the Presidential Amnesty Program, retired Major General Barry Ndiomo, at the headquarters of the agency in Lagos.
I would like to say that your business here is not a major building. I think it's just wake up call for both the agencies. As far as I'm concerned, the office of the amnesty is supposed to be either an extension of the agency, or the agency should be an extension of the amnesty's program.
Dr. Jamo noted that it was a critical time for NIMASA and PAP to have a robust and formidable relationship, adding that the international community is already commending Nigeria for the successes recorded in addressing maritime insecurity in the country.
There's no other time to have this type of meeting other than now, because this is a critical moment where the international communities, they are hailing Nigeria on the successes they recorded in terms of addressing maritime insecurity. So the issue at stake now is sustainability of this progress. In 2020, towards December, we were recording an average of 6 attacks per week, which is 1 attack per day. And today, as of last few months, we are recording 0 attack in our own territorial waters. So the sustainability of this position is key. The international community, they are watching us. The Nigerian government, they are watching us to see whether we can sustain this tempo or not. And interestingly, we did that with the shortest possible time with the help of Nigerian Navy.
The NIMASA boss further assured of the agency's readiness to collaborate with the Presidential Amnesty Program in reintegrating beneficiaries of the amnesty program into the society. Earlier in his remarks, the chairman of the Presidential Amnesty Program, retired Major General Barry Ndiomo, called on NIMASA to fashion out workable and sustained partnerships towards creating opportunities for teeming youths in the Niger Delta region.
The practical involvement of institutions like yours and other international agencies that we hope to partner with. We need the assistance and cooperation of every stakeholder in the region to fulfill our vision for a better future for the rest of youths across the Niger Delta. Now, the maritime domain is an area where the Presidential Amnesty Program has trained a large number of delegates in various fields. As a matter of fact, we have trained a total of 1,368 delegates over the years.
The Amnesty boss also used the opportunity to commend the NIMASA DG and his team for redefining the safety and security of Nigeria's maritime industry.
Hello viewers, this is the Know Your Convention segment on NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime. I am Olabisi George, and today our discussions, the International Convention on Standards of Training, Certification and Watchkeeping. Captain Tayo, we've talked about certification medically, we've talked about qualification and skills. As a marine navigator on board a ship, how are these rules applied? How do you ensure that these seafarers are certified to be competent?
Yeah, you know, over time, just like she said, the convention actually came into force first at 1984. It has gone through a lot of amendments. About 2 conferences after the 1978 conference that actually adopted International Convention on Standard of Training and Certification of Seafarers, Watchkeeping for Seafarers. What is being considered primarily is, one, you have to talk about sea service experience, because that is key. You must have gone through sea service. Then the issue of age is also very, 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 very important. Then your medical fitness also has to come into play.
When you say age, how old are we talking about?
The convention says for you to be a seafarer, for you to work on board a ship, you must be minimum 18 years in age. So if you are not up to 18, you are not admissible on board. training, of course, the certification. So all these are the requirements that is required.
What kind of certifications?
Has to do with, you have different cadres of seafarers on board a ship. You have the master cadre, you have the chief engineer officers, yes. You have the officer of the watch, and you have the ratings. So these are the cadres. So you must meet that specific training requirements for you to be certified. Yes, for each cadre. The system was you go through sea service experience, come back, do your trade test or whatever, then you'll be certified. But the convention has made it mandatory now that you must go through maritime training institutions. So you have to be trained from a maritime training institute, that's accredited maritime training institutions. So get your sea service, come for your examination, and you'll be certified.
All right, okay. Ma, we've talked about them being medically fit. Does this convention provide any specific requirements on how to ensure that these persons, the seafarers, are medically fit? Do they have to go through hospital tests, or how does it work?
Well, the convention did not spell out that. What it just made mention of is that the seafarer must have had, a medical certificate of fitness. And actually, it's one of the benefits of signing on to the convention. I think that's what they're trying to achieve. So that if a party that has signed on to the STCW convention has met, of course you must meet with the requirements such as medical fitness, and sails to another port that is not signed on to the convention, the issue therefore arises that you could sail through. Now conversely, what actually should be is that where the port, the vessel that is sailing to another port is not party to the convention, and as such does not have that certificate of medical fitness, and sails into a port that is party to the convention, you have to produce a certificate of medical fitness.
Captain Taiwo, how do you know a seafarer on board is medically fit?
There are designated medical centers that seafarers are usually referred to.
Okay.
And what is pertinent is, of course, your sight must be okay, then you must be physically fit because of the rigor of work that you have to do. Of course, when you are on board, you must be able to use all available means according to the prevailing circumstances and conditions to ascertain what the situation is. So that is why it is required that you must go through medical examination, such that your sight is not impaired and you are physically fit to withstand the rigor of the ocean. So that is why medical certificate of fitness is so important. Okay.
So viewers, this is as much as we can take on today's segment. Until next time when we bring you the concluding part, please stay tuned as NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime, continues.
Welcome back to NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime. It's time to check out what's been trending online on all maritime matters. You can continue the conversation with the DG of NIMASA. He's on Twitter at Jamo Bashir, as well as at NIMASA Official. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. However, when it comes to doing business in Nigeria's maritime space, do remember that because of the highly regulated nature of shipping, there are rules and regulations that all players and intending players must abide by, and NIMASA bears full responsibility for ensuring that there is compliance. So as we've always said, make the NIMASA official website currently showing on your screen your first port of call. Thank you for watching NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime. And we hope that you found today's episode of the program instructive and inspiring. A philosopher once said that the best way to measure any life is not necessarily by its duration, but by its donation. Think about it. We hope that you're making your life count, especially as the maritime opportunities in Nigeria continues to unfold before us. So, till I come your way again next week, my name is Ubong Esen, asking you to make your life count, not by its duration, but by your contribution. Continue to stay on course. Bye for now.